Welcome to the RetroWolf podcast, episode number 13. Today's guest is a good friend of mine that I've known for about a year now, I would say, right? A little over a year. And that is
Yep,
Andy, and he has a YouTube channel called AmdyVHB. Andy, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just finished eating dinner, and I've got a cheap-ass American beer, so pretty good night so far, you know?
Was that Miller?
Yeah, Miller High Life, man.
Yep.
Yep. The champagne of beers, they say. So, Andy, if you don't care, man, tell my audience a little bit about yourself and, if you want to talk about your YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah. So YouTube AndyVHB. You can find me on Instagram AndyVHB Retro, Facebook AndyVHB, and Wednesday nights I have a live stream 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Talk about video games. We talk about whatever we do. I do like tugging contests and eating contests and stuff like that. Sometimes we go on adventures. And yeah, I've been collecting games since really 2012. Sold a whole bunch of stuff in December of 19, and now have started collecting again. But now I've mainstreamed my collection.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, and everybody, I'll leave a link to Andy's YouTube channel in the description down below, as well as all his social media handles. You got to tune in to Andy's freaking live streams because they are a fucking blast. I promise you, you will have fun. He does his live streams are hilarious, and you never know what's gonna happen. I love your live streams, dude. I haven't been able to attend them as much, in the last week or so, just because I've been so damn busy. But yeah, anytime I can, I'm on there, man. So yeah, man. So yeah, you had to sell your collection, and that sucks, dude. Because man, your collection was so good, dude. One of the best collections I've ever seen because of the fact that everything you had was complete in box, man. And you
Yeah.
just had so much good stuff. And everybody, if you want to see that collection, we actually did a game room tour. I'll throw a link to that in the description down below as well. So when you say, you started recollecting again, and you're kind of streamlining it, what do you mean by streamlining it?
So my collection at first in 2012 consisted of games literally from PS2 on. When PS2 and Xbox were out in college, I started buying games and really not collecting, but just had a collection. And one day, probably late 2012, I was watching somebody on YouTube's Game Boy game collection, and Game Boy was my first system ever as a kid. And I have a lot of nostalgia for the Game Boy. And so I said to myself, you know what? There's this one game that I never beat as a kid. It was my first RPG I ever played, called Ultima Ruins of Virtue. And I said, how cool would it be, 20-something years later, maybe I'm better at games, maybe I have more patience, if I could go back in time and beat that game. So I went on eBay, bought a Game Boy, and then said to myself, if I'm buying a Game Boy, I might as well buy the Game Boy Complete, like I used to have, which then went into I might as well buy Ultima Complete, which I used to have. And then it snowballed until 2019, where literally I had collections for literally every system, Nintendo onward. I didn't collect for the Atari 2600, 52, or 78. I didn't collect for like Intellivision or anything like that, but it was NES on, and any system you can think of I had games for, and they consisted of sports games, compilation games, fighting games, puzzle games, literally a whole bunch of different genres. And when I sold everything in 2019, I said, okay, well, there are certain games that I know I'm going to play forever. Assassin's Creed, Sonic games, Crash Bandicoot games, Tekken, Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, Kingdom Hearts, and Mortal Kombat. And with the occasional, Streets of Rage and Toe Jam and Earl sprinkled in. And so that's literally what and Spyro. So that's literally what I've streamlined. I'm only collecting now for those games series and everything that pretty much goes along with those game series. So for example, I have all the pops for Kingdom Hearts. I'm collecting pops for, Tekken and God of War. I got to throw that in there. God of War is part of that, and so on and so forth. So literally it's those series And then if a game comes out like Super Mario All-Stars just did for the Switch, or 3D All-Stars for the Switch, I'll pick that up. I'm also collecting every Tetris game ever. I'm still trying to do that. So that's where we're at as far as that goes.
Nice. So by streamlining the collection like that, it's got to make things a lot easier for you because you've got a clear goal to work towards.
I mean, the first time when I was collecting everything, I still had a clear goal. I still had the lists of games that I was missing. But, having to sell all that stuff was a nightmare, number one. So so the pro is I got all that stuff. If I ever had to move, God forbid, all that stuff's gone. It's a lot easier now to pack stuff up. You saw my room, having to pack that up would have been a nightmare, as it was when I moved from Massachusetts here. But the con to that is, the depressing part of it is I had a goal I collected from that, 2012 on, and I wasn't able to fulfill that goal, unfortunately, for circumstances out of my control. Family issues back home, they needed money, job loss here. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened. Then, COVID 3 months later, but, it sucked. But now, and again, the pro to that is, well, I don't have as much stuff. I end up cheating, and I said I would never be this guy, but I ended up cheating, and I got a Retro Pi basically. So I have one. It was like $500, but it has literally every game up until Dreamcast, so you can still play Dreamcast and 64, all that stuff. So at least I have that. I said I would never be that guy. I'm a purist, but shit happens. So, but yeah, I have a goal now, and literally at Mortal Kombat, I'm missing a few games here and there. Spyro, I think I have everything. Sonic, I'm missing a lot of Game Gear games, which are going to be almost impossible to find complete. Game Gear is a tough system to find games complete for. You got the Sonic 2s of the world where there's a million of them sealed for $3, but like Sonic Chaos or Sonic Drift 2, titles like that, which are, complete in box, $600, $700 easy if you can find one. And that's pretty much that. And I still have games I have all the games I had for my PS2 through college and PS3 and 360, and I have a corner of the room now for all that. Oh, Prince of Persia is another game I completely forgot about. I'm collecting for that, and the remastered version comes out in January. The remastered Sands of Time, which I can't wait to pick up. It looks beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about that, man, because Sands of Time was a badass game, dude. The whole trilogy was badass.
The whole trilogy was, yeah.
I think my favorite was probably Warrior Within, just because I
agree.
Yeah, I liked how dark and brutal it was, and the Godsmack soundtrack. It was pretty badass, man.
Yeah, I agree. Warrior Within was the best of the three.
Yeah, badass game. The combat system was awesome. It was hard. It was a tough game. Yeah, it was a badass game. I hope they remaster that one next.
I'm surprised they didn't remaster all three. We take the time and just put all three on one. They did for the PS3. They had that collection for the PS3, but that was a million years ago. So let's, if we're going to, unless you're trying to milk it, but not a lot. See, Prince of Persia is a cult. Prince of Persia is a cult following. It's not like 9 million people can't wait for this game to come out. So if they're going to do it, it's not like a million people can't wait for the game so they can milk every single game and try to get money. You might as well throw a $69 price tag on the thing and get all three games in there and be done with it. But we'll see what they do.
Yeah. See what they should have done, man. Like you said, they should have just went ahead and remade all three games, put them all in one package in like a collector's edition. Yeah. I'd pay $90 for that. I'd be happy paying. If it was a collector's edition and it had all three games and it had some extra goodies thrown in, I think that would be a badass little bundle, man.
I don't know how limited run games work. Do they buy licenses that are just sitting there? Do they buy licenses from people that have the companies that have it and aren't doing anything with it? Or are they splitting profits with, whoever? How does that work? Because why wouldn't limited run games take a stab at that and redo, a collection?
Yeah, so limited run games, they mainly do small indie games from indie studios. So most of their games are just indie games. Every now and then they'll strike a deal with a big company, like they strike the big deal with Disney, and they've been publishing a lot of old Star Wars games, re-releasing them, like Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64 and Pod Racer on the Nintendo 64. But most of the time they do indie games, but they do sometimes do deals with companies to release, a game that company published to release it physically, but it's rare.
Doesn't Disney own Prince of Persia's rights now? I'm trying to think. Who created the movie when it came
Uh,
out?
wasn't it? It wasn't Sony, was it?
I don't think so. I want to say it was Fox.
I think it was Fox. That sounds
And if
right.
it was Fox, Disney bought Fox years later. This is hold on. This is bothering me. Let me see if I can find this info out, because I want to say, because if that's the case, I'm sure. But see, I don't know if Jordan Mechner, the creator, has some say in it. Oh, it was Walt? Yeah, it was Walt Disney.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 2003. Excuse me. It was released on May 28th, 2010, and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer for Walt Disney Pictures. So Disney does own the rights to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it seems like Limited Run Games has a pretty good relationship with LucasArts and Disney. So, I mean, who knows? It could happen. Because it's not being released physically, is it? The remake, the Sands of
No,
Time
it
remake?
is.
Oh, it is. Okay,
It is.
good.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I
good.
pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered that. Speaking of games, I pre-ordered Crash 4 just came out. I haven't had time to play it yet. I planned on doing that today. But man, I got OCD, and like a million new shows just dropped that I could stream, TV shows. And then a ton of books just came out that I like. Goosebumps, I still read Goosebumps. R.L. Stein just came out with a new one for a Slappy World Series. There's a guy by the name of Mike Ford. Mike Ford created a little series called Frightville, which is like a poor man's Goosebumps, basically. But I think book 4 just came out today, but I think he stopped because I don't see any other books by him, like in the future, like on Amazon, it'll tell you, okay, well, this book 5 in the series is coming out next May or whatever. There's nothing. So I want to say it didn't do so well, and he's done. Scholastic dropped him, I imagine. But those two came out. The new Tristan Strong book from Rick Riordan Presents came out, and then Rick Riordan's final book in the not Heroes of Olympus, the Trials of Apollo series, book 5, the final book came out today. So all those just came, literally released today. So I gotta read all those on top of watching those shows that dropped, on top of these other books by a guy by the name of Blake Crouch. I don't know if you saw his TV show called Wayward Pines a few years ago.
I did. Yeah, I did. The first 2 seasons. The first season was good. Second season, not so much.
Second season was horrible, and the second season had nothing to do with the books.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed. But I remember watching the first couple episodes of season 1 and saying, this is one of the only shows that I knew was based on a book that I could not wait to see what happened next, and literally went out and bought the book and read it. Now, he had a trilogy of books for the Wayward Pines series, but they were way different from the show, obviously, for season 2. But I'll never forget when I read what was going on in Wayward Pines, and I read what was really going on. It blew my mind. I'm like, this guy is fucking good. I can't wait to read more by him. Then he came out with a book called Dark Matter a few years ago. I read that. But then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out and buy all the ones that he's written that sound like something I'd read. So I have 3 or 4 books of his that I got to read. So when all that stuff's done, the books, the movies, and the shows that have just dropped, then I can finally play Crash 4. PS5 comes out next month. Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out next month. I pre-ordered the collector's edition of that, so I can't wait to unbox that. Streets of Rage 4 has been out for a million years, but I pre-ordered through Limited Run, and I'm getting the collector's edition with the figurine, so that should hopefully be coming in the next month or so. And Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory is coming out next month. So I'm going to be busy with Crash, with Streets of Rage, with Kingdom Hearts, and with Assassin's Creed. I'm going to be busy all the way until next year, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like you've got plenty to keep yourself busy with. That's for sure, man. What games have you been playing recently, though?
Recently, Madden, just because every year I do the same thing with all the sports games. I play each game each week. In football, as an example, baseball would be each day. I didn't end up playing the MLB game this year because of the 60-game season. So actually, I have a sealed copy of 21 collector's edition that will probably never be opened. It comes with a hat and all this other garbage, but But yeah, Madden, and really, I haven't had a lot of time to play games, mostly because, like, I have Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 on the PS4. I have the Yakuza games. I have Dark Souls. I just haven't had time to play any of them, man. It's, work has been hectic. And by the time I get home every day, I'm exhausted. I go to sleep to wake up the next morning, I barely have enough time to watch the TV shows that come out. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make time, obviously, so basically, these next four games that come out are gonna be ones that it could end up taking me all of next year to complete. Only because Assassin's Creed, that Origins or Odyssey, excuse me, that was I looked at the time counter for that game. I put over 300 hours into that game. And this is the longest game I've ever, because I'm a completionist. I literally did everything you could do in that effing game,
Damn, dude, that's impressive. I have that game, but I've yet to play it. Is it good?
So it's good. I only play Assassin's Creed which is, I'm in the minority. A lot of people don't care about the current day events of that series, like the, events happening in real time in 2020. They only play the games for the backdrop and the setting and the gameplay itself. I'm the exact opposite. I don't care about any of that. I was hooked with Assassin's Creed, really with game number 2, when we didn't know if the ones that came before, those who came before, were aliens. We didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought they were aliens, and then obviously you found out through like the hidden glyphs and everything that they created humans. And so that was a cool feature. But ever since Corey May left the studio in early 2011, that part of the series has been non-existent almost, because they don't know what the hell to do, because Corey May was one hell of a writer. And now supposedly in Valhalla, a lot of the ones that came, or those who came before, a lot of that is going to be implemented into this game, and that's something I'm looking forward to.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that sounds cool, man. So you had mentioned the PS5 a little while ago. If you don't care, man, tell the audience your PS5 story, man, because I watched that and it was crazy.
So I walked into GameStop earlier that day, and I have a pretty good connection with the manager there. And I said, look, as soon as this really, because we knew that Sony was going to have that, what do you call it? Not a webinar, but like stream or whatever, right? So we knew that was dropping. We knew we were going to get information. We ended up getting not only the price, but we got the release date and all that stuff. And I said to him earlier before that live stream, I said, listen, as soon as you hear when we can pre-order, please let me know. I will be there. Well, I'm in the middle of a live stream because obviously Sony surprised everyone and said, oh, by the way, pre-orders are live, go. And everyone flipped out. They didn't know what was going on. I get a call or a messenger from the dude at GameStop saying, hey, we're taking pre-orders right now. You've got to get here. Well, they closed at 8. Was it 8? Yeah, they closed at 8. It was like 7:41. And I'm literally 35 minutes away from the nearest GameStop. And I message him. I'm like, listen, man, I'm on my way. I'm rushing now. Because I was this close to not going because I was so lazy and didn't really want to go back out. But then fear of loss kept coming in. And I'm like, I need that PS5. I have to get it. So I said, screw it. I messaged him. He goes, listen, I could probably only stay to about 808 or whatever the hell it was, 812, I think it was. And I'm like, listen, I'm going 90 miles an hour trying to get there. And there's this fucking car in front of me. Of all the days for this guy, or nights, I should say, and it wasn't like a busy weekend. It was a fucking Wednesday night. You know what I mean? Midweek. And he's driving as slow as you can fucking go. And it's so dark that I can't just pass him because I don't know what's coming from the other side. It's literally pitch dark. There are no streetlights. There's no nothing. And if I had been late, I would have fucking lost my mind because of this one son of a bitch who would not fucking move. He wouldn't drive. There's a meme going around, hilariously enough, with Vin Diesel from Fast and the Furious. And the meme is basically, it's 45 miles an hour, go. He's screaming out the window. And somebody wrote that caption in there. And that's how I felt like, because the speed limit's 40. This dude's going like 18 miles an hour. And I'm like, I can't fucking pass the guy. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to get in an accident. I don't want to get pulled over because then I'm definitely not getting my PS5. And so finally I get there. Long story short, I get there. Of course, I hit every fucking red light that you could hit. 99% of the time when I'm driving, that red light's never red. But of course, when I have a mission I need to get done, complete, of course, there's every red light was. I finally get there, and literally he looks at me and says, "You got the last one." I got there with like a minute to spare. He says, "You got the last one." And literally the only one they had left for a pre-order was a digital edition, which some guy who was second, there were three, they could pre-order 3 PS5s. I was third. This guy was second. And he just nabbed a digital edition for his girlfriend who was literally racing to get through also. So I ended up getting the PS5. Now we'll see, because I thank God here in the US it hasn't happened, but overseas, Amazon has sent out notices. Some other European game stores have sent out notices to people saying, "Hey, I know you pre-ordered the PS5, but guess what? You're not getting it. Sorry." So hopefully that shit doesn't happen here, because I'll lose my mind.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I unfortunately was not lucky enough to get one. I tried like hell. I didn't go out anywhere, but I was, I had on different tabs on my computer. I had Target, GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon. And, most of the websites fucking crashed. The closest I got was on Best Buy. I got a PS5 in my cart, right? On the screen where you check out, I would click check out and it would just spin. It wouldn't do a damn thing. So for the next 30 minutes, like every minute or so, I would, refresh the page and click check out. Eventually, I got to the next screen where you have to pick whether or not you want to pick it up at a store or have it shipped to you. And I clicked, the button to do the final checkout, and it said they were all sold out. So
I tried Microsoft. So the Xbox Series X was literally the next day, I think. No, it wasn't the next day.
it's like
It
a
was the
week
next week.
later. Yeah.
Week later. And the same guy, GameStop, said, "Look, we only have 7. I can't really tell you that, but we only have 7 slots. Be here like 4 hours before." And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm too lazy. I'm not waking my ass up that early just to get one. I said, I'll try. So at 11:36, I get out of bed in the morning because it's my off day, and I sleep literally half the day away. But I get up and I go onto the Microsoft website, and twice I was able to get to the fucking cart page where I'm checking out. But every time it got added into the cart and I went to the cart, it wasn't there. So then, 2 minutes after that, the second time it happened, 2 minutes later, it basically said, "Sorry, we're sold out." And Amazon sold out and everything else. So here's the thing about the Series X. And I really have a decision to make. And I don't know if, speaking of which, I got a question to ask you. It has nothing to do with games, but it has to do with PC for a minute. But the Series X supposedly is more powerful. It's not supposedly. It is technically more powerful than the PS5. My question is, I'm buying a PS5 for the following reasons. Obviously, they're exclusives. Now, I know we all know Microsoft bought Bethesda. At the end of the day, it doesn't really affect me because I don't really play any of Bethesda's games. So that's irrelevant. However, for me at least. However, God of War, going to be a Sony exclusive. MLB The Show for right now is a Sony exclusive. Supposedly this coming year they will be branching off to other systems, but they didn't specify who. And I can't imagine with Microsoft buying Bethesda, Sony's going to allow Microsoft to have MLB The Show. They're probably going to throw it on Nintendo, which, I mean, I might end up buying it for the Switch because I could literally sit in bed and play a game and not have to do anything. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But Kingdom Hearts obviously are for both systems, but I like playing it on the PlayStation. It's really AAA title. But for AAA titles like Assassin's Creed, like NBA 2K21 is an example, and like Madden, for example, is the graphics on the Series X going to be that much better? Is the loading times on the Series X going to be that much better than a PS5? Because if it is, I'll buy a Series X. But if it's minuscule at best, or if it's, 2 seconds quicker loading than a PS5, then there's really, in my opinion, no reason for me to buy one. I don't know if you've heard anything about it.
From what I understand, the difference is going to be, to most people, not noticeable. I mean, yeah, the Xbox Series X, technically from a spec standpoint and technologically, is a little bit more advanced than the PlayStation 5, but not enough to where it's going to be just this huge noticeable difference. Both consoles are going to be pretty much the same, especially for the first several years, man, until developers start getting real good with using the hardware when they develop their games. So honestly, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference at all.
The other thing too is with Microsoft is the proprietary storage systems where you can only buy Seagates, $220. So it's like, okay, you know, with Sony, I could pretty much buy any SSD external, I think, and that ain't gonna be 220. So for a budget people on gaming budgets, not that I'm on one now, but for most people, you know, I don't see really the value of $750 mandatory if I want to save more in one or two games. Where Sony, same price point, but it's a lot more it's easily more accessible for storage. Because I'm going to tell you one thing, man, that PS4, I upgraded to a 1 terabyte PS4 Pro, and I ended up buying another terabyte external because I ran out of space. You know, so I mean, I think I've played more games on my PS4 than I have my PS3, and PS3 was forever. I mean, that generation was forever, it seemed, right? 06 to 12?
It was
6 years?
It was like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. It was 13 because I came back from Illinois. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it was. 7 years. And well, this is 7 years too. So it's the same time frame.
Yeah, man. Those freaking hard drives, they fill up way too damn quick, man, these days, because the game file sizes are so large. Even if you get the disc, all the patches you have to download, all that shit just fills up the hard drive just way too quick. So it's going to be even worse this next generation, man, because game sizes are probably going to get bigger.
Yeah, they're going to get bigger because there's a lot more developers can put in because systems can handle it now. You know, but it's a small trade-off. I mean, a one-time purchase for a drive to experience games and worlds that we may not have ever dreamt of, you know, to trade off. And that's one of the things when you're when you play games. I'm not saying you got to be a hardcore gamer and you're on Twitch all the time, but, you know, at the end of the day, if you want to play games, it's, you know, we've signed up for this, as they say. You know what I mean? So we knew the rules coming in. We gotta deal with it. One quick question I have for you. I've noticed this. I don't know, and maybe you can tell me because I'm not much of a computer guy. I know a lot about computers. I just don't know the ins and outs of them. For some reason, my desktop, which is probably now 2 years old, okay, it's not a gaming PC by any stretch. I got a bare bones desktop just to go online and download MP3s or whatever, right? Or movies or TV shows and torrents, whatever. That's literally all I do on the thing. But I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months ago, my wireless mouse and keyboard started to go. And what I mean by that is anytime I try to type anything, there'd be a huge lag. Anytime I try to use my mouse, it would float. The cursor would float all over the place. So I replaced the batteries in both. That didn't do the job. So I dumped them, went to Walmart, bought the basic bare bones $25 keyboard and mouse combo, worked for maybe a week, and now the exact same thing is happening. What do you think it is? Because I've tried Googling this answer, and I can't figure it out to save my life. Anytime I use the mouse, it's literally all over. The cursor's all over. I move it this way, and it goes like 7 feet in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Like I can't, it's almost, as they say in game terminology, unplayable. This is almost unusable. And I've noticed if I get really close, like the wireless signal, I literally have to, like my keyboard was, you know, those desks where you have your computer and then you have a keyboard where it would go. So your keyboard's here and your computer's here. Well, now I have to literally put my wireless keyboard on top of where the monitor is to even have it work or recognize it. Do you have any idea what that would be?
Have you noticed if it is a particular USB port that it's happening with, or is it any USB port you use?
Never thought of that. I don't know. So I should, all right, so the first thing would be to try to change USB ports and see if that's the issue.
And I mean, I can't imagine, well, you said it's a desktop, so if with it being a desktop, you probably have I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 5 USB ports, I guess, something like
I don't
that.
think I have. I don't think I have that many. That's the issue. I have one I know because the external hard drive's there in one of the slots. The other slot is the mouse. I don't know if the mouse and keyboard had its own or if it's just one. But I want to say that I maybe have 3. And that's being generous. I don't think I have 3 USB ports.
So, if that may not be the problem. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know, man. But the next thing that I would try, and it's going to be a pain in the ass, but back up everything on your computer and do a factory reset and see if that fixes it.
I mean, I could do that, or I might just go to Walmart and, I mean, desktops, basic desktops got to be
Pretty
what, 300 bucks.
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, you can get a pretty good one for cheap these days, man. Desktops, because most people are buying laptops, so desktops the prices have gone down, unless it's a gaming desktop, obviously.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah. I haven't, like, I have the desktop I got was an all-in-one where literally everything's just the monitor.
yeah.
Like the computer's inside the monitor.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So maybe I'll go into Walmart or go online and see what I can get, because you would think though a desktop would last more than 2 years, right?
It depends, man. Some of them are made shitty, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day. I'm 36. I remember compact Persarios, and those went like after a year and a half to 2 years. So, yeah, man, fuck. But yeah, I'm excited for the PS5. I'm excited for what comes next. Supposedly NBA 2K1's graphics on next gen are out of this world. So we'll see. What I really hope, and I've been watching this guy on YouTube lately. His channel actually came up as a recommendation, and he's pretty smart and he's pretty good at what he does. He's about 60,000 subscribers. I don't know why he doesn't have more, but his name is on YouTube, and you guys can go. And I'm not plugging his channel because I know him. I'm plugging his channel because he's pretty smart, and he's good. He literally breaks down he just rags on Madden all the time. But his channel is actually, I got another computer question that I want to ask you, and I think anybody that listens to this podcast will probably want to know the answers to this as well, because they probably have the same questions I have and have had. My internet in this garage, man, where I'm at, is the worst internet in the history of life. Or excuse me, the signal is the worst ever. I can't get a signal no matter what I do. So let me go on here and let me see exactly what's going on. All right, so his channel is Ryan Moody 21. So Ryan, Ryan Moody, Moody 21. And he breaks down why Madden is so bad. He literally will break down a game or a sequence of showing you a play. Like, quarterback throws the ball, it ends up being a touchdown, but how on earth was it a touchdown? And he literally freeze frames the gameplay, and like a sportscaster would on a telestrator, literally goes and says, well, look at this guy. He's supposed to be blocking these two people, but because Madden's just about animations and not actually making the game the way football actually plays, this guy's literally blocking and there's nobody in front of him, stuff like that. But, he brings up some good points, and NFL 2K5 is one of the best football games I think of all time. It scared EA so bad that's when they went into that exclusivity agreement with the National Football League, because 2K got its name out by throwing out a $20 game that blew the pants off a Madden $60 game. And to this day, EA, when they locked down that license, has literally churned out the same game every year. We all know that. We all know the drill. We've all played them. But I remember way back in the day, even in 2005, Tony Bruno had his own radio show inside of that Madden game. And I remember when that came out, I thought to myself, this is fucking incredible. Like, how cool is this? And that's on the PS2. So you'd figure with the PS3 and the PS4 and even the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, with that leap in technology, why don't we have what we had on the PS2. Well, I mean, that's just laziness. How cool would it be to be able to see? I mean, when you saw that come out on the PS2 and you guys were playing Madden and you saw that radio show and even NFL 2K5 when the Chris Berman's halftime show, think about this. And this is going to sound simple, but it's really not. When you're playing a football game and there are other games going on, literally at halftime, Chris Berman, you heard his voice, you didn't see him, but you heard his voice, and they had in-game footage of every game that was literally going on at the time that you were playing. And at that point in time in gaming history, no one had ever seen something like that. And 15 years later, we've regressed. A halftime show with this guy, the coach, whatever the fuck they call him, Andrew Coachman, it's so bad and so lazily put together that they don't go over every game. They go over 3. They show you a map of the U.S. They highlight where the 2 teams are playing. And it's so lazily put together, they just show the score. And half the time, the guy, Coachman, doesn't even announce who the hell's playing. They'll say, let's go over here to this game. And as you can see, this team's winning 14-0. What the fuck? This is the PS4. You're telling me, EA, you cannot, for 10 minutes, have this guy record team names? I mean, are we that cheap? I mean, how much is that going to cost? An extra 7 cents? You know what I mean? It's just, and that's one of the reasons, not the reason, but that is just one of the many, 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 many reasons that users actually gave Madden on Metacritic a 0.2. And I just hope that when the PS5, when these next-gen systems come out, at least for football, because we know baseball is going to be great with MLB The Show. We know basketball, we're fine with NBA 2K. Hockey, it's really only EA, and again, it's the same old song. They're churning out the same hockey game like they do the football game. But I'm just hoping. Dude, you're a Sega guy, right? I think, or you're a Nintendo guy.
Mainly,
your friend's a Sega guy, right?
I'm mainly a Nintendo, but I play everything.
So Sega CD, Sega Saturn. I remember this a million years ago because I was a huge Sega guy. Still am. Still a Sega fan. Even though Game Boy was my favorite system, I think, of all time. I think we had this discussion because it was my first system and all the nostalgia with it. I've always been a Sega fan. I'm not a Nintendo hater, but I've always been a Sega fan. And I remember because after the Game Boy, it was Genesis, it was Saturn, it was Dreamcast for me, and then 64, and then PS1, and then Sony all the way. But even NHL All-Star Hockey 95, we're talking a CD-based game that came out in 94, had TV footage, if you want to call it that, of the commentators before and during and after each game. And yeah, it was pre-recorded. But there is no excuse that that game 25 years ago can do that, and we don't have that now. I just, I'm sorry about the tangent, but it sucks, man, because sports games are one of my favorite games to play. I'm huge into statistics. I'm huge into franchise modes and stuff. And I'm huge into presentation. When you play a sports game, gameplay comes first, but presentation's a close second. And the problem with Madden right now is the gameplay is non-existent and terrible, and the AI logic is inexcusable, and the presentation, there is none. And that's a big problem.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is the fact that they continue to try to release a game every single year. I almost think it would be better if they would, maybe release them every 2 years instead of every year. I know a lot of people wouldn't like that because there's a lot of people that like to buy their Madden every single year. But it just seems like they need more time to develop the game and iron out the kinks. It doesn't seem like a year is enough time with as the systems get more and more complex and more advanced, the games are going to get harder to develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. For the PS4 as an example, like you can give a developer like, let's say, all right, the PS4 is in its first year of existence. Well, if you're going to port the PS3 game to the PS4, it's okay if it's a duplicate copy. It's okay if the graphics are not what they should be because it's literally the first year of that game on that new console. But you're literally, when you go, even in year two, if you just make small changes, you've had a whole year, because it's not going to take you that long to literally just update rosters. That's literally all they do. They update the rosters, which should probably take 20 minutes. They update the they change around the loading screens, or backdrop screen, whatever you want to call them. That should take maybe a week. So what are they doing with all the rest of the time? They're not doing anything. The animations are the same. The celebrations are the same. The panning to the sideline animations are the same. So they've had a year to do something different, and they just don't. And so I think a year is enough, because if 2K can do it, 2K does it every year with their basketball game. Presentation's better, graphics are better, animations are better, logic is better. Story modes are, the story mode has regressed a little, but I'm not buying NBA 2K21 for a story mode. That's just an added bonus. I'm buying NBA 2K21 because I want to play a basketball season. I want it to be a simulated deal. I want it to reflect what would happen in real life, and I want the challenge of taking a team and going through a grueling 82-game season. That's why I buy a sports game. And during that sports game, I want it to realistically look as close to the action as it can. And 2K's been able to do it. That's why they've won so many awards lately, every year, for their basketball series. That's why I think Game Informer, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Game Informer rates that game as the best sports game every year of that year. Best sports game, hands down. It's not really a competition, because look at what they're going up against. It's like a college student going up against an 8th grader in a basketball game. I mean, the college should win every time. But EA, this is almost, they literally are just copying and pasting the code and updating the code to be relevant for that year with the rosters, and that's literally it. I'll give you an example. This is how sloppy EA has gone. They just released a patch for October that said that they're basically fixing the spelling errors that they had in the game. And what spelling errors, do you ask, did they have in the game? They had spelling errors of the cities where the teams are in the in-game text. That's just, there's no excuse for that. So that's my tangent on EA and everything else. I'm just, the long and short of it is, though, man, I'm excited about next gen. I'm debating, do you have any of those arcade one-ups, by the way?
No, I want to buy them, but the problem is I just don't have room for them, because right now I'm living in a double wide, and I just don't have room. But I would like to.
Yeah. I know you're building your house, right?
Yep. Well, eventually.
Yeah.
Not yet, but eventually.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I'm debating on whether or not to get the Golden Axe one. I know that just got released, or excuse me, not released, but pre-orders or I'm really debating on that. I have an extra Mortal Kombat one. If anyone's listening to this and is in the Tennessee or close to the Tennessee area, I have an extra MK 1, 2, and 3 that's been used about 3 times. I'm willing to sell for pennies on the dollar because I don't need it. And that's probably it. The NBA Jam is really cool. You can go online with that. So Arcade One-Ups. Arcade One-Up's a great company, man. They're genius. They're geniuses. They really are.
Yeah.
And they make a quality product too.
Yeah, they do, man, and I hope they keep going, which I'm sure they will. I mean, they're making a lot of money. There's a lot of people buying their products, so.
I mean, I have a guy who works with me who's in his late 40s. He's 49, and he's not a gamer by any stretch. But he actually went out and got a Golden Tee arcade one-up, and he sits there and he drinks a beer and he just fucking plays Golden Tee, and that's what he does. And so there's a niche market, but it's really not. I mean, you got people. It's like the Wii in a sense. My mom, I found out when she was alive, I found out had a Wii. She told me one day, yeah, I was playing Wii tennis. I said, what do you mean you're playing Wii tennis? She goes, yeah, we bought a Wii. I'm playing tennis. And I started laughing to myself because my mom's never been a gamer. The only time my mom has ever played, and when I say played, she watched me play, was Shenmue when that came out. She actually got engrossed in the story of Shenmue. Other than that, she couldn't care less about a video game, But for her to play Wii Sports was hilarious to find out. Likewise, for this guy who's not a gamer at all to go out and buy a fucking arcade one-up for $400 They're a smart company, and I like them a lot. The one thing I don't like about Arcade 1UP is they have nothing literally on their website. Like, for example, for the longest time, like they'll sell a Pac-Man stool to go along with the Pac-Man arcade. They'll sell a Turtle stool to go along with the Turtle one, or the Street Fighter 2 riser to go with the Street Fighter 2 one. But Mortal Kombat, they would not sell the riser separately. Wouldn't do it. And so what I end up having to do is I end up finding on clearance a Mortal Kombat, another system with the riser. So I end up buying that, and then I'm trying to sell the one that didn't come with the riser. So that's what I'm dealing with now. But the one gripe I have with the company is if you're going to sell the stuff, please, if you're going to sell some of the stuff separately, why not sell all of it separately, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's change gears for just a second, because I want, if you don't mind, because it's just crazy and hilarious, man. Tell people the story of Mandy Dickey.
Mandy Dickey. Here's the deal with Mandy Dickey. Mandy Dickey was a subscriber of mine that I really didn't pay much attention to 4 years ago when she started commenting. Like, she was an afterthought, really. She'd comment, you know, a couple times on a video when me and Kenny did these scratch ticket videos every Thursday back in Massachusetts. Called it Scratch Ticket Thursday, where every Thursday we'd get a bunch of tickets, we'd scratch live, or not live, but we scratch on camera and upload the video. And there's a huge following that I got from that, not only in the state of Massachusetts, but even as far as Europe. There's a lot of people who like watching scratch ticket videos. Surprisingly and hilariously enough, when I moved here to Tennessee, nobody watches the videos anymore. But if I was to go back to Massachusetts, everybody would watch it again. So anyway, Mandy Dickey would comment, and she'd say things like, "I love Kenny," or "I'd love to have Kenny suck on my nipples," or I wish Kenny's big, you know, what was in me," or I wish you plowed me." Just comments like that, right? And, you know, because if you took a look at Mandy Dickey's profile picture on YouTube, it was a stripper who was a midget, okay? Like 2'6". She looked like she'd, you know, lived 100 years and 30. She looked rough. Okay, so immediately we all thought that it was a troll, and we didn't really pay any attention to it because she was harmless. She would just comment like that. Well, years go by. Now we're in 2020, and I don't know how this thing started, but it started about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I started doing live streams. And Mandy Dickey would be on there, and she'd comment, "Andy this and Andy that, and I want Andy's nuts and this, that, and the other thing," and everybody would laugh about it because I see it in the comment section. And so Mandy actually Facebook messaged me one night and said, see if I can find it. I just got a message from a girl, literally, that tried talking to me 2 years ago. And here, okay, we'll get to Mandy Dickey. So this girl basically messaged me and said, "I looked at your phone. I live in Knoxville. You know where Knoxville is. I live in Knoxville. I just want to get laid. Can you help me out?" And I thought it was a troll at first, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's get there. Well, every time she fucking wanted to meet, all of a sudden, before she needed to meet, something happened. She was a nurse and she works 1 million hours, and all the excuses come up. And she messaged me, and I thought it was a Mandy Dickey situation, like a troll situation. It really wasn't. She's a real person. She really is single. She's cute. But I don't know what her deal is. And then I found out through a friend of a friend that she has emotional issues. And so she's like schizophrenic almost. Well, she literally, as we're recording this, literally just messaged me. Hold on a minute. But give me one sec. Let me go to the Mandy Dickey thing. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly how this conversation started. Because Mandy Dickey messaged me, I want to say about a month ago. Let's see if I can find the message here. And Mandy Dickey says, we're in September. We're getting there. So we're talking all over a month. All right, August 20th. Okay, we're talking close to 2 months ago. She messaged me, "Hi there," on August 20th, right on a live stream, right? So that's how it all started. And we tried on the live stream to get Mandy Dickey to basically show her face or call me on the live stream, because I surmised that Mandy Dickey was a guy who was trolling me, who got so deep that he needed his girlfriend to pretend to be her to perpetuate the trolling, right? And it was harmless trolling, but it was still trolling nonetheless. So she calls us on the live stream, and it's a real woman. And we're like, holy crap. She then sends a picture of what she said was her, and it was this wicked, I mean, she was absolutely gorgeous, this girl of a picture she sent. She was a midget, though. She was probably 3 feet tall or less, but she was gorgeous, had huge tits and everything else. And so somebody in the live stream said, well, why don't you just, reverse image search the picture and see if it was real? And sure enough, it wasn't. There was a New York Post story in 2015 about how this wicked hot midget was getting attention in the stripper scene, and people wanted her and they wanted to marry her and all the sorts of garbage. So I called Mandy Dickey out, and Mandy said, yeah, you're right. It really wasn't me. But I swear, I really did call you, and that really is me. And she swore up and down, she lived in New Hampshire, she swore up and down that she was a stripper. She swore up and down that she was a midget. She swore up and down that she really did like me and really, but was scared to show her face on the live stream or send pictures of herself to me because she didn't want to get fired. Now, if you're a logical person and you think logically, you don't have to be an MIT graduate to figure this out. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this mystery out, okay? If she's a stripper and she has a day job and didn't want her face being shown, so she got fired, how could she strip and not have somebody from her work go and see her and then tattle on her and then get fired? So the whole logic made no sense. But we played along because that's what we do. And then the following week, which is probably 2 weeks ago, I think now, I was able to get EDP. You guys who know who EDP is, he's over 2 million subs on YouTube. Very famous. He's a Philadelphia Eagle fan that lives in Bakersfield, California. Me and him have been friends on YouTube for a long time, probably going on 6-7 years now. He got on the live stream because I told him what was going on, because he watched my live stream the previous week with Mandy Dickey and wanted to find out what this was all about. So he got on the live stream, and Mandy Dickey, sure enough, shows her face, right, and says, "Hey, I'm here. You know, what's going on, guys? You know, she wants to be part of the group." And we basically call her out, and she said that she would show her face, but not her whole face. So she messaged me a picture of a real person who's, you know, just enough so I could see her eyes and her forehead and stuff. And she said, when she described herself, that she was about 5'2", about 150 pounds, with triple E tits, okay, E-size tits and shit. And she was tan, really tan, had green eyes, and she sounded hot, right? I mean, you know. So she sends a picture of herself. I didn't really like her hair, and I commented. And then she gets all butthurt and says, pretends to be, obviously, says, oh, I knew, that's why I didn't want to show you what I look like, because I knew you wouldn't like curly hair. And I said, I called her out immediately, and I said, you had no idea what my likes and dislikes weren't. Okay, if you truly wanted to prove that you were real, you would just send your picture. And she went back to this whole, well, I just don't want to get fired and blah, blah, blah. Well, one guy ended up donating money to me, SAA Productions, on the live stream. And he said he'd donate a whole bunch of money if she showed her face on the live stream. And so I told her that I would donate and then match anybody that donated. I would match that just to get her face on the live stream. And the reason we said we were going to do that is because her excuse was, I just don't want to get fired and I'll lose my job. And if I lose my job, I can't pay my bills. So we said, well, if you lose your job, here's a whole bunch of money to be able to pay your bills, which we all know you won't lose your job because only like 30 people are watching this right now. Okay, so, you know, what are the odds that your boss in New Hampshire happens to know my channel and is watching this live stream as we speak? So, of course, she made excuses as to why she couldn't do it. And it came out to be that night she had her conscience got the best of her, and she fessed up. And she fessed up that there were 4 friends, and they all created the channel together to troll YouTubers. And her boyfriend set her up for this, which is what I had called a month prior. And she goes, I really like you, and I really like your channel, and I really think you're cute, but you'll find somebody out there, and you know, you'll be good to them. And I'm laughing this whole time, and I wake up to this message the next day because this girl actually thought that I was in love with her. This girl actually thought that I couldn't live without her, or whatever the case was, that I fell for her. And the funny thing is, she's trolling me the entire time I'm trolling her. And she has no clue. And everybody knew it. And she was that oblivious. And the reason why she fessed up is because she saw that people were donating money to me, and she felt bad that she was going to not allow them to donate money by holding up everything, by not showing her face, because her boyfriend obviously didn't want to let her show her face. And that's what it really came down to. So at the end of the day, I called her out on YouTube. I called her out on the whole message. I read the whole message. If you guys want to check out that last live stream, you'll see it. It's probably halfway through the beginning of the live stream. You'll see it. I read the whole conversation. And so Mandy Dickey is no more. She deactivated her fake Facebook account. You haven't seen her in the last live stream we did. So that's where we're at. That's the story of Mandy Dickey. So Mandy Dickey thought she was trolling me the entire time we were trolling her. And they need to do a better job. You're dealing with a guy who's been in sales for a million years and now can, pick out liars just based on logic and body language and tonality and answers. And I'm analytical to begin with. So it didn't work on me. It might work on others, but obviously not me.
Yeah.
So that's Mandy Dickey.
It's always fun when you get to troll the trolls, man.
Yeah, troll. And you got to be doing something right, because there's no such thing as bad publicity. We've all heard that. And at the end of the day, I'm not a big YouTuber by any stretch of the imagination. I have a little cult following, which is really cool. But at the end of the day, if somebody's willing to troll me, then obviously I got to be doing something right, because the people that don't have trolls or people that don't like content that you produce, you're not big enough yet. You got to be able to have people that hate what you do. And if you have people that hate what you do, you're getting somewhere.
So what's your mindset when it comes to handling trolls? Because I notice, like, a lot of times in your live streams, you'll have people pop in, just throwing in all kinds of troll comments, and you seem to be real good at just completely ignoring it most of the time.
So it's hard because not now it's not. Now it's not. But in the beginning it was, because, when you're a creator of anything, you hate criticism because you take it personally really hard, because it's something you created. Somebody shits on something you make, whatever it is, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a piece of artwork, whether it's a game, for instance, you're going to feel bad, and you're going to feel like, you suck, and you're going to feel like, it's embarrassing, and you don't want any of those comments, especially with people that watch your videos or channel, to see people say things or do things. It kind of gets embarrassing and everything else. And I'll never forget this. I had a troll who watched my scratch ticket videos in Massachusetts, and he would troll things like, "Why do you scratch that way? I can't listen to your voice. I'd rather just watch Kenny do it. Blah this and blah that. And you're so," he'd always say, "You're so negative. If you were more positive, you'd win." And then he'd give examples on how much money he's won just by staying positive. And it's like, and it got to me, because not so much that he was pissing me off with what he was saying against me. He was pissing me off because he's one of those guys that states statements as fact with no proof, and no one holds him accountable. So he can say whatever the hell he wants, and no one holds him accountable. So, for example, he'd say things like, "Well, I was positive the other day, and I knew I was going to win. I didn't know how much I was going to win, but I knew I was going to win. So I bought $100 worth of tickets and won 10 grand. Just shit like that.
I call
bullshit. And then in one comment, he listed all the money he's won for that year, and it totaled like $936,000.
No.
Yeah. His name was Let's Go Yankees 316. That was his handle on YouTube, Let's Go Yankees 316. And I finally, you'd have to search for it. It's in the Scratch Ticket video playlist. But I went off on him. This is probably 2015 or 2016. And I literally spent the first half of the Scratch Ticket video just going off on him and calling him out and literally just doing things that YouTubers should not do. Because the bottom line is, people are going to watch your channel for you and what you create. They're not going to want to watch you blow up on some idiot. Yes, it can be funny, but a majority of the time, if that's what your YouTube channel becomes, they're going to get bored and they're going to go want something else. Especially now more than ever, because of what's going on in the world. People don't want drama. They just want to be entertained. Now, there are certain types of entertainment. There's rap, videos. There's video game videos. There's ASMR. There's, comic, whatever the case may be. There's cooking videos, whatever. But they just want to be entertained, and they really don't. They want to escape, and that's what I think. Escape from reality. That's why movies were created. That's why television's created. That's why music's created. It allows somebody to escape reality for a little minute and have some enjoyment in their lives. And the more you get on YouTube and the more you deal with trolls, the easier it becomes, until the point becomes where, you know what, why am I getting so worked up over this? At the end of this live stream, or at the end of the video I'm creating, I know some people aren't going to like it. Does it suck? Of course it does, because it's the work that you worked hard on. But at the end of the day, there's a saying that somebody used once with me: there's no yellow tape around my house. So at the end of the day, meaning, did anyone die? Did I lose my job? Am I financially screwed? No. Those are the things we should be worked up over, not some guy calling me a fatso, or some guy saying, I hate the way you scratch a ticket, or some guy saying, I hate the fact that you like Sonic the Hedgehog, or whatever the fuck it could be. Who gives a shit? And the other thing, too, is, man, I'm 36. I'm not saying I'm 52, but I'm 36. I'm no youngin'. I'm a 36-year-old guy. Why the fuck am I going to get some 14-year-old probably ruin my day? And it's easier said than done in the beginning, man. Because, again, any creator, I don't know, if you've made videos, if you've had some harsh comments or not. From what I've seen, majority of the comments are positive, if not all. But yeah, I mean, shit happens. It's one of those things where once you have done it for a while, you'll eventually get numb to it and then just blow it off. Just like anything. Like in high school, if you were made fun of, or in middle school, if you were made fun of, it sucked for a little, but then you just learn to blow it off and get through,
Yep. No,
I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
So for me, and I've had a few trolls pop in from time to time, or haters, or just people that are really negative and just assholes. But for me, the way I look at it is, I would say with certainty that a vast majority of trolls and haters and people like that are miserable human beings that are only doing it because for some weird reason it's making them feel better about their own miserable life or their own miserable situation. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it is that. But another thing is, another way I look at it is, if somebody like, okay, so like, let me give you an example, right? So my video where I showed my complete North American Black Label GameCube game collection, right? This guy, okay, so in the video, when I filmed it, I filmed Pikmin 1 on the GameCube, right? But when we edited it, we missed that and accidentally skipped over it. So the final video, I don't show Pikmin 1 in the video. Even though I filmed it, I don't show it in the video because we missed it in editing. And we didn't catch it until we had already uploaded and posted the video, right? So I have people commenting all the time, you missed Pikmin 1. So in the description of the video, the very first thing I put in there is a big note in all caps saying, I do have Pikmin 1. We missed it in editing, but I do have the game, right? But I had this one guy, man. He literally counted every single game I showed on camera just to make a point to try to prove that I didn't have a complete set. And I'm just sitting there, and I thought it was funny because I'm just sitting there thinking, who the fuck? Because the video's like 40 minutes long, dude. So I'm sure 30 minutes long. So I'm sitting there thinking, who the fuck spends 30 or 40 minutes out of their day counting every single game somebody shows on camera just to leave a little comment? That person clearly has way too much damn time on their hands. So I try to look at it like that, and by looking at it like that, a lot of these comments, they don't really bother me because I almost feel sorry for some of the people sometimes, man, because you got to be a miserable human being to leave some of these comments. I got one guy, man, because I do a video at the end of every month where I talk about games that are coming out on the Nintendo Switch the next month. And I cover a lot of indie games in that video because I love indie games. I'm a big supporter of indie games. And I have this one jackass that he'll usually comment on those videos and he'll say something along the lines of, "Oh, just another bunch of fucking shitty indie games again. Oh, good." You know what I mean? And just clearly people like that are just miserable, man, and they're just haters. And so from that standpoint, it doesn't really bother me because uh, you get what I'm saying though?
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about that. Think about, and for those of you who don't do YouTube videos, mine are pretty easy. Yours are more in depth, and there's a lot of editing that goes into it. And I know that because I know editing. I've been in a TV show. I know just for a TV show, the editing it takes, let alone a YouTuber dealing with yourself, or even if you have an editor doing it for you, it doesn't matter. It's a long process. Me just doing like that video game tour video I did of my room took probably an hour and 20 minutes just to do the B-roll footage. Then I had to shoot myself talking over the B-roll footage. That took another 40 minutes. Then putting it all together, then editing that, then rendering it. It was a 3 or 4 hour process, right? Just to create 1.5 hour video. And I'm sure your videos take a lot more editing than mine do. And you take all that time out of your day to produce one 30 or 40 minute video, but you're producing a video. This guy, or people like him, take 40 minutes to an hour and a half of their day to produce nothing. And that's the big thing. You're right. You got to look at that and say, you know what? Unless this person has severe OCD, which is probably 1% of these people, they have no life. And how can you imagine being so bored or so lonely or so whatever that you have to spend your entire day or night doing that to feel a sense of an accomplishment? And then what it must feel like to have no one comment on that comment, especially the creator who it was meant for not commenting on it. That's going to be the most depressing existence ever. And I never want to end up like that. You know what I mean?
No, man. And another thing I don't get, man, is if there's a particular YouTuber that you don't like, if you don't like their content, if you don't like them, whatever, why the fuck would you even watch their videos just to leave a comment? There's a lot of YouTubers that I don't like. I'll give you an example. There's a YouTuber named Jim Sterling. I cannot stand that guy. I don't watch any of his videos. So I'm not gonna, and because I don't like him, I'm not just gonna go on his video and be like, "You fucking suck." You know what I mean? I don't care. I have better things to do with my time, better things to do with my day. I don't have time to be going on a YouTuber's channel that I don't like and trolling them or leaving comments on their videos. So these people, I think they have, like you said, man, they have way too much time on their hands, and that must be the only way that they can get any kind of feeling of accomplishment in their lives.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm introverted by nature, and a lot of people that I've grown up with over the years, like through work and stuff, they'll take a look at me and they'll say, "Man, you must get lonely at the house," or, you gotta. One guy called me a fucking, what did he call me? One of my bosses actually called me maybe he called me a hermit. I want to say a hermit or something, because extroverts don't understand that introverts don't give a shit. You know what I mean? So in sales, you have to be an extrovert. I have to act every single day. I don't want to talk to these people. That's my job. I have to. So I fake it till I make it. And introverts love being able to just relax by themselves at the house. And I have my own world, bro. I got my shows I watch, my TV shows, the books I read, the movies I watch, the games I play. Do I have a select few friends? Yes. Do I go out and go to dinner or go to Dave & Buster's or go whatever? Of course. But I don't I'll never forget it. There was literally parties thrown 2 streets down from where I live from people at work. "Oh, you going to Josh's tonight?" People would beg me to go. And that's a cool feeling. Not beg me because they feel like I'm going to go slit my wrist. Beg me because I have a personality. When I'm in a crowd, I fucking light up the room, that type of shit. But I have no interest in fucking shit like that anymore. No, there was a time and a place for it. I'd rather just lie on the couch and fucking watch the game, or lie on the couch and watch fucking, Supernatural or whatever the hell's going on. It's one of those things. And so these people are not introverts, because introverts wouldn't do that. Introverts don't want to have a conversation with anyone. These are extroverts that are just completely, that society has shunned, I guess, or loners, beyond loners. And even then, loners, just, they're loners. They don't, So, at the end of the day, I can't imagine him going through a video like that and trying to disprove your game count. I don't have time for that shit. I'd rather sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's ridiculous. And I'm also introverted, and Andy, I think a lot of YouTubers are probably introverts, man. I really do. Like I've talked to a lot of people, or I've actually met a few big YouTubers, and in person they were super shy and introverted. So I would say, I mean, I'm sure not all of them, but I would say a lot of YouTubers are introverts. Like I'm an introvert. Like, and when I'm around people in person, until I really get to know them, I don't really say a whole lot. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
bro. I'm exactly the same way. It's more so I'm gonna watch to see who you are, and if I give a shit to even want to talk to you. Because if you don't, like, if you have nothing in common with me whatsoever, I'm not gonna want to get to know you because it's irrelevant. I'd rather just fucking not talk to you. I have no interest in fucking going down that road because I don't have the patience or the energy to do it. And I'd rather take my energy and focus elsewhere. But as I get to know someone, I'll go up and say something to them. You know what I mean? Because I get value out of a conversation. I see value in that versus, So yeah, it's funny you say that because, and people are like, you're so quiet. You're this. I'm quiet because I don't give a shit about half the things, what's going, you know what I mean?
Exactly. You are exactly. That's exactly the same way I feel, dude. And it's funny. Like introverts like me and you, we understand extroverts, right? We understand them and why they're so extroverted and why they're people persons. But it seems like extroverts don't understand introverts. You know what I mean?
They
It's weird
don't.
how that
They
works
they
out.
can't. It is. They can't. But see, here's the thing. There are 4 personality types um, in everyone. Everyone has all 4 of these types within them. There are 2 of the 4 that always come to the top. And here's what they are: analytical, which is a sign of an introvert; driver, which is a sign of an extrovert; expressive, which obviously is the epitome of an extrovert; and then amiable, which is a sign of an introvert. And analyticals by nature, if you're an analytical, amiable person, you're not going to parties, you're not going to social gatherings, you're going to stay at home, and that's what you're going to do because you're introverted to the max. A driver expressive is an extrovert. An expressive amiable will be an extrovert if the expressiveness is the forefront versus the amiable nature. But an analytical expressive is very rare. You can't find those in people. You can never have a driver amiable because the definition of a driver is someone who is impatient, wants to take charge of everything. That's the sign of an extrovert. Amiable is literally someone who curls up in the fetal position, doesn't want to deal with confrontation, and wants to live vicariously through their family members. So, for example, if you have a grandmother who can't wait to take the grandkids to Disney, she's going to get joy not from going to Disney herself. She's going to get joy from seeing her grandchildren have fun. That's the definition of an amiable. So the bottom line is an analytical person, and I think you're analytical just by talking with you, can understand extremely well and extremely quickly, terrible English, but extremely extremely fast, quick, you get what I'm saying. They can understand and what's the word I'm looking for? Deconstruct someone's personality type and why they are what they are and the reasons behind it. Someone who's an expressive, all they do is this, and they don't think about what they're doing. So that's where you're going to get people who are driving drunk. That's why you're going to get people who are going to go off and, be a slut at a party, because they're the life of the party. That's all they know how to be, and they don't think about things. And so for them, how are you not like me? How can you not go out and drink 50 beers and go crazy, or, go running, streaking through the streets or whatever, or, be whatever the case may be. They don't get it because their brain isn't wired that way, where our brain won't do that. And here's why we won't do it, but we understand why you do it, So, yeah, man, and I would say you're right. I mean, EDP, I know EDP a long time. If you watch his videos, you think he's expressive as hell, but absolutely not. He's introverted just like me and you, so.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, man. And yeah, you're right. I am very analytical. I mean, hell, my job title is literally a business analyst. That's what I do at work, is analyze things. I analyze data and analyze things. So yeah, I'm very analytical. So that job's perfect for me, being sort of introverted too.
Sure.
Because I can just zone in on what I'm working on. I don't really have to deal with people that much. And I love it, dude. I started in customer service. God, I hated that. That.
I can imagine.
Did you, so all this is personality stuff, man, did you have to learn it for sales? Is it beneficial for sales?
Oh, absolutely. It's beneficial for sales. Do we have to learn it? Well, a lot of the stuff that I learned in 2015, this is what I learned in 2015. I knew back when I started my career in 2007, but I didn't know the terms and I didn't know why things were what they are and how they work. But I knew from a subconscious level, this guy is exhibiting this form of behavior. So I know logically, as I'm thinking logically, I have to counter that with this behavior, right? But I didn't have terms for it. In 2015, when I learned this, I got into it real quick and I thought it was fascinating. And it's funny, when you learn these 4 personality types, you'll be at a restaurant and you'll be looking at people and you'll be looking at their body language and you'll say, that guy's this and that. And this woman is this and this. And it's funny to see if you're right. It's sort of like a game, once you get to know people, it's sort of a game to see if you're correct on it. But yeah, it helps in sales, because if you get somebody who's amiable, high pressure ain't going to work on them. Being the grandson, or being the friend, or being the confidant, if you will, is going to work. A driver wants to take control of the situation. If you try to take control with a driver, the driver is not going to want to deal with you and is not going to buy a thing. But if you let the driver believe that the driver has control of the situation, then they need to respect you, though. If they get to walk all over you, they're not going to buy from you either. So as long as they respect you enough, but you let them win more often than not, they'll end up buying. An expressive, if you try to shut down an expressive, they're going to be turned off from you. They're going to say, you know what, this person doesn't care about me. I'm trying to explain to them. And it could be something as simple as you're trying to sell them, a coffee maker, and they're talking about the garden they just planted. One has nothing to do with the other. You got to let them talk. They feel that they're being validated, but at the end of the day, if you let them talk too much, then they've made a great friend in you, and they're going to say no to you because it's easy to, because you get how it is. So that's expressive. And an analytical, if you bore an analytical with facts and figures and you give them, shouldn't say bore, because an analytical is going to want to know those things. But the problem with an analytical person is once they know all the facts and figures and you keep giving them and giving them and giving them, that's a lot of data that now their brain has to analyze, and they can't make a decision in a one-day sales situation because they have to go back and compute everything they just learned. And half of the time it's all bullshit. It's not really real. But if you learn with an analytical to keep everything short and to the point, that's a lot less they have to theoretically think about, which is an excuse, but that's another podcast for another day. That's how you get over an analytical. If you can quickly identify everybody's personality type in front of you, you're going to be a lot more successful, because you're going to be able to literally, we talk about how sometimes it's a superpower. We wish we could think about what people are thinking in their head so we know what they're thinking. Well, that's literally as close as we're ever going to get, is if you can understand a personality style and how to overcome what they're dealing with, that's literally you're in their head.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of psychology in sales. Which one of those personalities is the hardest to sell to for you?
Analyticals the hardest because an analytical is the one that's really going to end at the end of the day more often than not say they have to think about what you're showing them. I'm analytical. I had a guy, this is a true story, actually I had a guy the other day that was analytical as hell. Now his wife was expressive and she wasn't amiable, she was a driver, but she was more of an expressive than a driver. And I say a driver because at the end she said to him, look, I want this thing, but it's up to you and hurry up because I'm hungry. Now, an amiable wouldn't say, hurry up, I'm hungry, because it's not in their nature. Think of, if you had to do an analogy to what an amiable person would look like, think of Flounder, Flounder from The Little Mermaid, or think of Thumper from Bambi. Those are people who are amiable. A driver would be Scar from The Lion King. Any bad guy ever is a driver. So she wanted it, but I had to overcome. At the end of the day, if she hadn't wanted it, it wouldn't have been a deal anyway. He literally bought it because she wanted it. Now, that's the amiable side in him. But at the end of the day, had I not gotten her in, it wouldn't have mattered. He could have loved all the facts and figures at the end of the day and everything else. But he literally sat there and dissected every single thing that we told him and wanted proof that it was real. An analytical person needs that. An expressive and an amiable person does not. If you can make an expressive and amiable people feel emotion, they'll buy just strictly off of that. An analytical person is not going to buy off of emotion. An analytical person is always going to buy off of logic.
Man, it's so funny. It's so funny hearing you say all this because all this stuff you're saying about analytical is exactly you're just describing me, dude.
Yeah.
So like you would know how to sell to me if you really wanted to.
Well, yes, but I'd also have to know, like, I'd have to know about your what they call hot buttons. I mean, I could sit there and say, okay, well, bread is $3. You can sign up for this card, and it's two for $1 for the rest of your life. At the end of the day, logically, that's a good deal. But what's going to make you want to do it now? And so for me to find that info out, I'd have to know all about you and your likes and dislikes and wishes and hopes and dreams and desires and all that stuff. Take that info and then throw it right back on you as I'm showing you all the things that you said you needed in your life in the beginning, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's a fun deal. It can get mentally draining at times, but you know, it's cool. It's a funny little deal.
Yeah, because it sounds like each person you're trying to sell to is almost like a puzzle you're trying to work, and you have to analyze it while you're talking and trying to sell to them. So that seems like it would be pretty mentally draining for sure.
It is, and a lot of times, you know, there's a lot. I mean, think about it. These people that I talk to, they're coming in. They're taking what we say. They're taking the company's money because we're giving them gifts to come in, right? We're giving them, wax museum tickets, or we're giving them Hatfield and McCoy tickets, or we're giving them show tickets, or we're giving them cash money, or we're giving them a free vacation, or whatever. And they have no intentions of doing anything. They're in here to get the free stuff and leave. And in a 90 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours, it's our job to try to get them to take their gifts they're getting, but for them to spend their money. And it's a tough deal, man. It's such a tough deal. But once you get good at it, it's very rewarding, not only just financially, but it's very rewarding as a peer. I'll tell you this, and I'll share this quick story with everyone. The person I am today was not the person I was in 2007. And I'll give you a quick story about how this industry and this job has changed me over the last 13 years. You ever eat at Subway? Okay, you know how Subway has that card where you buy Subway and you get points and you can redeem those points for whatever? Well, I would say maybe 2008 or so, I go into the Subway and I have enough points to get a tuna fish sub, right? Large foot long. And I go and try to redeem the points. And the guy says to me, oh, well, no, you can't use it on that sub. You can only give me 2 options and both sounded horrific. It was like the two worst subs you could ever have in your life, right? And I knew the guy was full of shit, but I didn't say anything to him because I didn't have it in me at that point in time. I walked out of the store mad because I knew he was lying, but didn't do anything about it. And I ended up going to somewhere else. Well, a few years later, the same scenario happened to me at the exact same store. But I had changed. My personality had changed. My view of people had changed. My confidence had grown, you know. And the guy pulls the same shtick on me. And I said, here's what's going to happen. We can either use your phone or we can use my cell phone here. But we're going to call Subway corporate office, and we're going to tell them exactly what you just told me, that my points are only valid on 2 items in your Subway store. And we're going to see what Subway has to say about that. And what do you think he did?
He made the sub you wanted.
You're exactly right, he did. Exactly right. But again, 4 years prior, that wouldn't have happened. I was the guy that walked out. Not anymore. So, you know, from a financial standpoint, yeah, I've earned a lot and I've done a lot and everything else. But from a person standpoint, a personal growth standpoint, you know, I have a lot of confidence in things, and I'm able to read people a lot better, and I'm able to determine pretty quickly whether or not that person's a trustworthy person or not. Is this person someone who I would actually invite over my house? Is this person someone I could trust with a secret? Is this person someone who is not going to, you know, screw me over? And had it not been for the industry I'm in and being able to talk to people on a one-on-one basis for 13 years, who knows where I'd be right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man, that you had a job that actually, it's always good when you have a job or any experience in life that can actually help you improve and grow as a person, man. So that's awesome. Like for me, I worked at, you're familiar with Steak and Shake, right? The restaurant Steak and Shake.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I worked at a Steak and Shake for 7 years. That was my first job. And, you know, it's tough work. Working in a restaurant is tough, man. There's people that have never worked in a restaurant in their life think it's easy work, but it's not. It's pretty damn hard. At any rate, you know, it was a lot of fun. I have a lot of great memory. A lot of crazy shit happened, dude. When you work in a restaurant, have you ever worked in a restaurant?
Oh, it's funny you say that. When my first ever job was Arby's when I was 14.
So you know then.
I know the drill. Yep.
Yeah. So, but what I'm trying to say is, you know, my job and experience at Steak and Shake really shaped my work ethic when it comes to working for a company, because I started when I was 14 bussing tables, and eventually throughout the 7 years, I could have, like, after the first 4 years, I could have become a manager, right? I would have been like the youngest manager in Steak and Shake, but I didn't want to because I didn't want to work salary because I was still going to school at the time and shit like that. But I've made it all the way up to what's called an operations specialist, and an operations specialist is basically a manager without salary pay. You can still get paid hourly, but you can literally do everything in the store, even run manager shifts if you have to. And I did run manager shifts when they went on vacation and shit like that, and I got paid overtime because I wasn't on salary, so that was nice. But my experience at Steak and Shake really improved my confidence. It gave me some leadership skills, some really good leadership skills. So yeah, man, it's always great whenever you have a job that can really kind of build you up like that, you know?
Yeah, because look, it's a hard world out there, you know, and unless you're a movie star or fucking, you know, or an athlete or whatever, or you got blessed with supermodel looks. I mean, for the rest of the 97% of the rest of the population, you don't want to end up in a situation where there's a story, and I don't know what happened to this guy, and I feel bad, and it's a really cool story. I don't know if you heard about it. I forget where it was. But there was this 80-year-old man who worked at Papa John's as a delivery driver, and he had to do that to support himself at 80 years old. And every time he would deliver a pizza to a family, he'd sing a little jingle when he got there. And one customer really, really took a liking to the guy, ended up setting up found out a little bit about him, ended up setting up like a GoFundMe for the guy without his knowledge. And people poured in like $12,000 to it for him, which is a cool story. But at the end of the day, the moral of the story is I don't know what happened to him or what he did in life. But at 80 years old, if I have to be a pizza delivery driver, I fucked up somewhere, man. I fucked up, and who knows what happened? Who knows what happened? But even so, like right now, I got a second job until this promotion kicks in, which should have kicked in because COVID stopped it. I'm working at Little Caesars running the front. Okay. I probably gained about 30 pounds since I've started there because I have a pizza every night, which isn't good at 10:30 at night. But just to give you an idea, I'm 36. There are people who are 60 years old working for minimum wage. It's the only job they have. Now, I have a sales job in the morning, and I do that at night 5 days a week. I could be actually, and cross your fingers, I could be getting back to what I used to do in Massachusetts. There's a company that's looking at me pretty heavily. And I'll find out early next week if I got the job. And if I do, I can quit that and I'll be good. Hopefully I get it. But whenever this airs, you'll know if I got it or not. People will know if I got it or not. Anyway, but yeah, man, 36, it's a humbling experience because it's like, okay, well, did I think 8 years ago when I was killing it that I'd be doing this? No, but you know what? Work ethic is something I've always had in me. I remember being 14, 15, 16, working 80 hours a week, getting all the overtime I could because it was money, My parents weren't rich, you know what I mean? They did the best they could. My parents got divorced when I was 6, but you get the idea. And but it's always been instilled in me a work ethic. And I'll never, no matter what I have to do, I will never get in a situation where I'm going to be homeless. I'll never get in a situation where I can't pay bills. If I have to work 100 hours a week until I can find something that will allow me to, I'm going to do it, and, but yeah, confidence is huge because I could be a statistic. I could be one of those people that works at a Steak and Shake 40 hours a week and has done it for 20 years and hasn't moved up and is making minimum wage. That's no way to live. And for most people, you don't need a college education. I think a college education right now is the most overrated thing in the history of the world. How many people are successful? Think about it. Unless you're going to be a doctor, that's a different story. If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, that's one thing. Lawyer is almost impossible to get into now because you literally got to be one hell of a lawyer. And you probably will end up working for a company that'll shoot you in and spit you out in 3 seconds and make 30, 40 grand a year, and you have $1 million worth of schooling to pay for. Doctors is a different story because obviously got to go to medical school to be a doctor. I get all that. I'm not saying that, but for anything else, it's an overrated deal. If you can prove to a company that you're loyal, that you're intelligent, that you have a work ethic, that shit goes all out the window.
Yep. The experience is way more important than having a college education.
Yeah. And, think about this. I don't know what a business analyst does. The easy definition would be analyze business, but obviously it's more than that. But, obviously for you say, okay, well, I have all this confidence now, 7 years doing what I was doing. You've taken the next step into what that is. I know your personality, and I think a lot of analyticals are like this. Analyticals are not lazy. Drivers really aren't lazy. Expressives and amiables are. And amiables really don't want to, they have a dream, but they don't want to do anything about making that dream come to fruition. They just hope a random Tuesday, a money tree will fall from the sky and they'll be a millionaire, And so, man, I don't want to grow up. I see people like, I'm just talking about Little Caesars right now, where they're 60 years old, 58 years old, but that's the job they have. They're filling out an application. Now, I don't know if it's a COVID thing, but I don't think these people were, running Fortune 500 companies that got let go. These people have probably run the gamut of all the fast food locations in Pigeon Forge. And for those of you who don't know what Pigeon Forge is, imagine a Vegas strip, but without gambling. It's literally just attractions. That's really what Pigeon Forge is. It's a huge strip of souvenir shops and go-kart tracks and zip lines and all this, water parks and all this stuff. So that's for those of you who are listening out of state, that's what Pigeon Forge, Tennessee is like. But, my goal is not to work at not that Little Caesars is a bad job. It's not a bad job for a high school kid. It's not a bad job if you're in college needing to make while you're going to college to make some money. But 36-year-old working a second job at $10 an hour? Well, I made some poor choices. Shit happened in the world. No one could have predicted. We opened a tanning business. I don't know if I told you this before, but we opened a tanning salon in Sevierville, me and a buddy of mine. And COVID hit literally a month after we opened it. So, yeah, that's another reason why I got the second job. So, yeah, poor choices, but not poor choices because I went off and went to a casino and bet half my income on red. It was poor choices, but it was a choice that was aimed to better myself, right? So, yeah, man, without confidence in where, and I know I just rambled on about a whole bunch of stuff, but with confidence, without having that, I wouldn't be where I am today. You probably wouldn't be where you are today, And so it's good that, we're able to take this and run with it, because there are a lot of people who just don't want to take that. They're scared to take that bold step.
Yep, you're right. And you know what's funny, man, is, like I said, Steak and Shake, working at Steak and Shake for 7 years really helped to build my confidence. But the funny thing is, when I started doing YouTube videos, and I started in January 2019, my confidence was okay before I started YouTube, but when I started making YouTube videos, for some reason, the act of standing in front of a camera, creating content and making videos and talking to a camera, for some reason, that has been a huge boost to my confidence. I don't really know why, but it has been. So like the last almost 2 years now that I've been doing YouTube has just been a huge boost to my confidence. So that's a really positive benefit for me personally that has come out of making YouTube videos.
Yeah, I mean, you do a great job. I wish I had your knowledge when it came to, that's the question I was going to ask you a long time ago. I forgot. All right. When people are streaming and they're playing games, they appear like the game itself is in the back. So this whole screen that you see of me would be the game screen. And I'd be over here in the corner, almost superimposed on the screen. You're using a green screen, correct?
No, there's a application that you can download called Streamlabs OBS.
Okay.
So you download that; it's free. You download
Okay.
that, and all you have to do is you have to buy a capture card so you can get an Elgato
I have an
HD60.
Elgato. I have an
Perfect.
Elgato.
So
Yeah.
you have that, have a webcam, and then
Mhm.
you can set it up in that application where you'll have different sources. So one source might be your webcam, right? And then you'll have a second source, and that source might be what your Elgato is capturing, so the video game. And then you can just adjust those windows in the application. So you might have the game taking up the full screen, and then you might shrink your webcam window down to just the corner.
Okay, so no, I've been doing that on my gameplays. I don't have Streamlabs, but I've been doing it through Elgato software itself. But I'm talking about these people are not actually in a window.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
They're on the game. So it's
Yeah.
almost like there's a huge screen behind them, and they're playing the game like this. The action's going on behind them, and you're literally, imagine my wall was the video game right now, and I'm in the middle of it.
I got you. That is people that do that are using a green screen. Yep.
Okay, so how does that? What do I do? I hook the green screen to a wall.
Yeah, you can just buy, like, you can go on Amazon and buy a green screen. It'll come with stands. Now, I mean, you could make your own green screen really cheap just by buying, green poster board or something and hooking them together and taping it to the ceiling or some shit like that. But if you go on Amazon, you can buy green screens that they will attach to these poles and a rail that the poles connect to, and then it's just like a big cloth fabric green screen that drops down, so you just set it up behind you, and you have to make sure it's lit really well with nice even lighting for it to look really good. But yeah, that's pretty much how you do it.
So, but how does that work? So I'm trying to figure this out. So the screen's behind me. How is the game now?
It's I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's like it's something you have to do in the software, and every software is a little bit different. So like for example, when I edit a video, right, and I have a little graphic that pops up on the screen that pops up and says subscribe or whatever. That was downloaded on YouTube. I downloaded that off YouTube, and it's just a big green screen with the little graphic. So I load that into the video editor, and then there's an option where I can click, like, you know how in like paint programs you can click this thing where you select a color and then it'll load that color up. It's similar to that. I can't remember what it's called, but basically it just depends on the program, but it's usually in the program that you have to do that. And basically what it does is it removes all the green and puts the video in its place. And then you're just superimposed on top of it because you're not green. So it removes
Sure.
everything green behind you and replaces it with whatever you want it to be replaced with.
I just don't know how the so we're I just don't know. There's obviously there's got to be a feature in the editor or in the program that will display what it's capturing onto this thing. Okay. Okay, because I'm literally trying to figure out in literal terms how how my TV screen is being sent. That image is being sent to a screen behind me, but it's really not that. It's really the program that's capturing what it's getting from the TV screen is now using that image as the background for the program.
Yeah, let me try something here. Let me see if I can. Let me see if with Zoom I can share my screen. Yeah, it looks like I can. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
And you're seeing this video editing program?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go way over here. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this gameplay down, right?
Is this Power Director? Yeah, I have this too.
Yep. So I'm gonna pull this gameplay down in this track right here. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'm going to pull this green screen like button effect onto the second track below it. So now this green screen is this like button effect is taking up the entire screen. You can't even see the gameplay anymore, right?
Correct.
So what I want to do is because everything I put below each track is going to overlay the one before it, right? So now what I want to do is I want to use the software to remove all the green. So I'm just going to double click this. And in Power Director, you come down here to Chroma Key, you check that, you click the little eyedropper, and you select the green area, and then it erases the green so that it only shows the gameplay behind everything that's not green. And I can do that, and then now if I play this little clip right here, let me mute it so that it's not blasting our eardrums. So now if I play this little clip right here, we've got that effect overlaid on the screen.
Sure. So I get that in an editing feature, but how is it doing it live while you're playing a game onto the green? How are you superimposing oneself over the game itself?
Now that I'm not sure because I've never actually done that. I'm sure it's something in the program that you would have to dig around in, whatever program you're using. Like I said, I recommend Streamlabs OBS.
Okay.
It's probably pretty easy to do in Streamlabs OBS. You could probably, look up a YouTube video on it and find the answer. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm sure it's probably something similar to what I just did. I would imagine something similar to that.
Yeah, because I want to do that when like Crash came out. I wanted to do a live stream where I'm actually playing a game one of these days, you know what I mean? But I want that feature where I'm over, because me being in a window is one thing, but it doesn't look good. I'd rather be, there's a YouTuber out there, I don't really like him, but I watch him. I don't know why. We had this conversation. It's almost like one of those things where, you see a car accident, you don't want to look, but you can't help it. But he plays a lot of Mortal Kombat. He's nasty at Mortal Kombat. And so, but when he records himself playing a game, he's literally superimposed over the game. And so that's what I want to end up doing, because I want, people to, whatever the case may be, whether it's Assassin's Creed when that comes out or Crash or whatever, I think it'd be fun. Some people won't be bored. Some people will be bored by it, but others won't,
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think that would be cool, man. And yeah, you can get a decent green screen pretty cheap on Amazon with the whole kit, the poles and everything. And
I saw it was like $25 for a 6x9. But basically, if I'm in imagine you staring at a TV on the wall. The TV's on the wall, right? I'm sitting in a recliner in front of the TV. That green screen, if it's hooked up to a pole, would literally just be behind me in the recliner. Okay, but it would have to be tall enough to be above my head. It has to
Yeah.
be taller. It has to be taller, obviously, than the recliner.
Yeah, well, you would just want to make sure that it's big enough to where it takes up the entire frame of your webcam, more or
Okay.
less. So you might have to move your webcam a little closer, you know, if you're not getting all the green screen. So you might have to make some adjustments there, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
So the question then the question becomes what by what is big enough is a big enough green, because I wouldn't want to get a green screen that's too small. It's going to be a waste of money and I'd be pissed. So I'd have to figure out what a normal size green screen would be to make that happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't really use green screens. I used one time in a long time ago, man, and I haven't used it since. It's in storage right now. Partly because I just don't have enough room in this game room for a green screen. This game room is small. It's not very big.
I know it's
Um,
funny. It's funny because you told me this before, and when you make a video, it actually looks bigger than it actually
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but with the camera angles, it looks fucking big.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Yeah, it's not. The game room is, I think, 10 by 12. It's something small like that. Yeah, yeah. I guess it's just a camera trick. I wish it was bigger. One day, man. One day. But
Yep.
so now I'm just trying to fucking figure out ways to maximize space, man. I'm running out of room in here.
I saw those shelves you bought. Those are probably a good idea. I wish I had thought of that a million years ago.
Dude, it's such a good product. Now it's a little expensive, but man, it's such a good product because you can customize everything. It's fully customizable. You can re-customize the shelves if you need to. I mean,
Do they
it's
do they
great.
get nailed onto the wall, or how does it work?
Yeah, and you can install them straight into drywall. You don't have They don't have to be in a stud, because they come with the drywall anchors, you know. But yeah, it's just you take a certain size drill bit, drill six, you line it up on the wall, mark your holes, drill 6 holes, hammer the anchors in, and then just screw it in. It's pretty easy, very easy installation.
Oh,
It's a great product though, man, and they've got different, like you can buy different size shelves. Like the one that I took a picture of recently, those are 4-inch deep shelves, but I've got some over here that are 6-inch deep shelves, and I
how
think
many
they have it.
games? How many games do the shelves hold? The bigger one.
So the one that I've got on the wall right here with my PS4 games, let's see. Okay, so this one panel, this is just one panel, will hold 92 PS4 games with four, and that's with 4 shelves on the panel. That's one panel,
Wow, that's pretty good.
and that's a 16 by 32 inch panel, and that's just one panel.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's a great product. There's a guy, you should look up this guy. His YouTube channel is called Game Dave. He did a video. If you go to his channel, you should be able to find it. He turned his entire game room into wall control shelves, all the way around.
I gotta look at that. I gotta take a look at that.
Yeah, and he goes through the whole process and the different accessories that you can buy. It's a great video. I'll send you a link to it when we're done, man.
Okay.
Great video, but yeah, and they're a great company too, man. They'll, if you contact them, like on Instagram, or contact them through their website and say, hey, I want to buy a lot of your panels and shelves, they'll probably give you a bulk discount.
Sure.
I think that's what they did with Game Dave. I think he contacted them directly and said, hey, I want to turn my entire game room into these shelves. What kind of deal can you make me? And you probably get a much better deal that way. If you just buy a panel by itself, uh, each panel is 25 bucks, and then each shelf is around 12 to 13 bucks. So it's a little pricey, but it's a premium product. So if like this panel right here that has 4 shelves, that was probably about 60 bucks, I would say. But it
So,
holds
but it's cheap.
92 PS4 games.
It's yeah. I mean, it's cheaper than a bookshelf,
Yeah,
and
and
it takes
and
up
it
much
looks,
less space.
yeah, it takes
Yeah.
up much less space, looks way better, man. It's not, you can keep it off the floor, so you can have more floor space. So it's worth it. I love the company, man. When I build my house eventually and I have a game room, I'm definitely gonna turn the whole game room into this style of shelving.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to figure out. I mean, how so? Because I have the bookshelves with I have all the pops now, but I don't think those would fit. But the games,
Well, I've got a. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can pick up my webcam and show you. I've got a pop figure. Let's see, right there. You see,
Yeah.
and that's on a 4-inch shelf.
So that's probably, you could probably have 3 on one shelf.
Yeah, I would say so. 3 on one shelf across.
So I would need, let's give it to you this way. For Kingdom Hearts Pops, you ready? I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Let's assume 60. So that would mean that I would need 20 4-inch shelves, right?
Uh,
Basically, if I had 60 and they fit roughly 3, that
so
would be 24-inch shelves.
so if it's okay, so if it's 3 per shelf and you can get 4 shelves on a panel, then that would be 3 times.
So that'd be 12 pops per panel. So that would be 5 panels.
Yep.
So how much would that be roughly?
If you got, because you can get there's on their website, you can get a deal where you can get 2 panels
Mhm.
for a cheaper price.
Okay.
It's like, I think it's like $5 cheaper or something. So, let's see, if you had to get 12 panels, let's see, probably
So it'd be 5. It'd be 5 panels, right?
Oh, did you say 5 panels?
Yeah, it'd be 5 panels because there's how many shelves per panel? 4.
If you space them out, it depends on what you're trying to squeeze onto the panel. But if it's pop figures, I would say 4 panels, yeah, or 4
Okay, so
shelves,
4
yeah.
pan. So 4 shelves per panel. So 5 panels because that would be 60 pops.
Yep. Okay, so 5 panels would probably be, that would probably be 125 just for the panels, and then you would need
About 60 for the shelves.
you would need
No, it'd be more than that.
yeah, because you're gonna need 20
20
yeah,
shelves.
20 shelves, so you're looking at
260 bucks.
because yeah, if you get the 4-inch deep shelves, I think they're 12 each, so 12 times 20,
240.
240 plus 125, so you'd
So
be looking at
360
around
bucks.
yeah.
That's because I was able to fit 60 on 2 books. Well, I'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the way they look. Don't get me wrong. I'd
Oh, they
rather have
look
that
great.
than these big ass bookshelves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So,
it's definitely, it's definitely a little bit more expensive than just buying like one of those bookshelves, right?
yeah.
But it's just they're well built products. It's all metal. You can get different colors. Um, you don't have to worry about them breaking on you like these bookshelves, man. Sometimes they'll, you know what I mean? So, I tell people, if you don't mind spending a little bit more money, then it's a great product for sure. And because, especially considering how customizable they are, because I mean, let me pick up my webcam again. Like the shelf that I got my PS4 games on, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have to space the shelves out that way. I could have just put 3 shelves on it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I wanted to maximize space, and so this shelf right here is at the very bottom, and it connects. You can take the shelves off too. You can easily remove the shelves. This little, you see that little like triangular shaped slit there?
Yep.
You just slide that into the slits on the panel, and then the shelf just kind of rests on top of it and hooks into place. So it's very secure, and that's not even installed on a stud. That's all in just straight up in the drywall, and it's very secure and it holds the games really well. So yeah, it's good stuff, man. Well, listen, man, it's been fun having you on the podcast. I usually try to keep these around 2 hours, so we'll go ahead and close it out. I definitely want to have you back on because I feel like there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to talk about. So definitely want to have you back on in the future. But is there anything else you want to say before we close out the podcast?
No, I appreciate you having me on. You know, what we've talked to. I mean, we talked a lot of deep shit, which is
Yeah.
cool. You know,
Oh,
it hasn't
yeah.
really been video games, but which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to be back on, and just remember everybody, Wednesday 7:30 Eastern Standard Time for the live stream on my channel. And I'm going to do, obviously, when the PS5 comes out, I'll do probably a live unboxing of that, and the Assassin's Creed and everything else. I'm waiting for those games. So, in the comments section below, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, tell me what kind of games you're looking forward to, if any of you guys like the games I mentioned, and we'll go from there.
Awesome, man. And again, everybody, I'll leave a link to Andy's YouTube channel in the description down below, as well as his social media, so you can go check all that out and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the live streams. Turn on the notification too, you know, because otherwise you might miss the live streams, and you don't want to miss Andy's live streams, trust me. And but yeah, man, again, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely want to have you back on, and hopefully I can get up there soon to maybe do another game room tour or something, man.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right, everybody. As always, stay safe, keep playing games and having a good time, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later.